Hey guys, we're about to get started right now. I'm just going to check if the live stream is going. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Yeah. Hey, look, we're live. All right. We're good to go. So how we doing today? Latino Tax Pro are how good, David? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty great, and just doing tax returns still. Good old California.
Oh man, you are always working. You are always working. So you know what? I'm actually pretty excited about this topic that we're going to be talking about today, but before we get into that, I do want to kind of share a little bit. Obviously, we got our fest coming up in about less than, I don't know, less than 18 days, probably more or less than 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks away. And there's still time for you guys to register. So if you guys go to our page right here, let me share it real quick. Go to latinotaxfest.com. Go ahead and click on register. We got special pricing right now, so you can either call us in or register here on the site. It's going to be great. It's going to be our 10th annual one, right? 10th annual one, David, right? 10 years at the fest, which is a good thing. And the good thing is we also have our room discounts are still available. So if you guys are planning on attending or anything like that, by all means, please check it out. You can check out our schedule, see what's happening each and every day. Pretty cool thing this year, we have a bonus schedule going on, which I'm actually very excited about. We're going to be face to face with the IRS. We're going to be talking a little bit about a little bit of offering compromise, how to survive an IRS audit, and we're going to do an EA panel. So obviously, we have a progression in the tax industry. You want to start off as a tax preparer, and then if you want to make it really a career or profession, you move on to an EA or CPA. We want to kind of lay out the path for you guys. So we definitely do have a bonus schedule set up on Monday. So don't wait. It's selling out already. Limited space, right? Even at the MGM, right? With limited space. So go ahead and register. But do want to get back to this topic right here. Let me see. Let me stop this share. Let me go back to the normal page here. All right. So again, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Roberto Morales. I am the community manager here at Latino Tax Pro. Last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, we started our little novela, right? It's called the novela sessions, right? We have 4 sessions coming up. We had one with Mr. Lopez where he kind of went over how the fest started and all that, and how it all culminated to this big event that we have going on, right? 10th year, 40 years in taxes, right? The year of the 1040. And this week it's something I'm pretty excited about. Like I mentioned before, we're going to be talking to David Lopez, COO David Lopez here, about the titles parenting and career building. And it's really, a lot of our members, they have these businesses, they have this goal of building this business, and a lot of them have their families that come along with them. They come to the office, they work with them. And it's funny, it's funny because I talk to a lot of our members at these events and they tell us about the stories and all that stuff. I was like, hey, you know what, wouldn't it be awesome if we could share our story, or share the story of how David kind of grew up in this business and all that stuff. So super excited that you were able to get some time away from doing taxes, David. So we do appreciate your time today, but I really want to make sure that we bring value to the audience, right? And try to connect with them. But so I'll let yourself kind of introduce yourself a little bit, and then I'll start jabbing away at some questions.
Yeah. No, thank you, Robert. Thank you for all that. Yeah, my name is David Lopez. I'm the Chief of Operations here at Latino Tax Pro and Latino Tax Fest. And yeah, I've been doing this for a while now. And just, excited to see this company grow. Like Robert said, this is our 10th annual event. And then this is also our 40th year of doing taxes. So it's kind of funny how it all worked out to be, that's why we're calling it the year of the 1040, which, puts it all together, in my opinion. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm excited about today's topic too. Um, it's unfortunate that, a lot of the times, a lot of people end up being single parents and having to grow their own company. So, yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but it's always a fun ride if you stay positive with it. So,
No, definitely. So maybe we'll just start out with how tell us a little bit about growing up and how you got
Yeah,
introduced and how it was,
definitely.
having a father like Mr. Lopez, in your life.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So growing up, my father and mother, they split when I was about 3 years old. So my dad took on the crazy duty of, raising a child on his own, and at the same time growing his tax business. Because before doing taxes, he was in the restaurant gig, and his story was basically he did most of the tax return, and when he took it over to the CPA that he was seeing at the time, uh, all he did basically was sign it off. He did the whole profit and loss and everything, and he's like, why am I serving these, dollar hamburgers, back then a dollar hamburger, instead of serving these $300 returns? So um, he took a leap of faith and did it. Back then as well, in this area there weren't too many Spanish speaking tax preparers back then, so he kind of capitalized on that market and grew it to what it is today. A lot of it when I was growing up was him actually going to people's houses and doing their tax return in their home.
Wow.
And yeah, it was, me as a kid, I'm like, why am I at this random family's house? And my dad's over there with his milk crate full of papers, and he has this huge calculator because he was back in the 80s. And I'm like, why is he doing homework on their dinner table over here? And this family's feeding us. So it's kind of funny, think back on it. He was a door-to-door tax preparer. That's how he started off, was doing family and friends, and just plugging away at the numbers. So ended up getting his first office, and I remember that office vividly because I was there most of the time.
That's where you slept at, right?
That's where I did everything at. Because couldn't afford a babysitter back then as well. So I was his gopher. I was the one filing, messing up the filing.
So that's
I
why the
was fine.
customers kept calling
Yeah.
back, right?
I was 5, 6 year old, trying to alphabetize everything. So, yeah, it made it interesting, made it real fun.
You
But
know,
yeah, just seeing him grow, and oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good, man. I just kind of wanted to touch on the point, like, a lot of people that come, obviously, they have this goal or this vision of the American dream, right? Having a business, and sometimes people use their family as an excuse why not to, right? Oh, why I can't. Um, I don't know. Just kind of listening to that, I don't know if that was an excuse for your dad, right, Mr. Lopez, but like, what kind of things would you be doing in these appointments? So would you just be sitting there, or what would you be doing? Like,
Yeah,
it's just
well, I didn't have iPads back then. We didn't have any of that stuff, so pretty much staring at the wall. No, I'm just kidding. I love those highlight magazines. I still do. I play with them with my son to this current day. Looking for pictures inside pictures and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, and just seeing what he was doing just kind of like was mind boggling. To a kid, you're like, why is he filling out these forms? What is the purpose of a tax? I didn't get any of that stuff. So um it was kind of a mystery up until I was about 10 or 12. Between that age is when I kind of started getting my foot in there, and just understanding, like, oh, okay, these taxes are meant to pay for, the police officers, or the firemen, and fix the roads and things like that. So that's started getting down to, oh, this is your American fee for living here in America type thing. So yeah, it's more, in my opinion, now that I'm doing taxes, and really getting into this whole thing, I find it really interesting. A lot of people tell me, why do you like taxes? Why are you're just pumping numbers all day? And I'm like, well, it's more like you're financially planning for somebody, because you can see how the money comes in, how it goes out, and it's really about figuring out money. As if you look at it like that, people, instead of just saying, oh yeah, I just punch numbers all day, it's more like, well, I'm actually helping people manage their money better, and filing at the end of the year type thing. So
I like that you mentioned that. It's funny. I was at an event last year in Chicago, and my title that they gave me is, it was Let's see. I'm here to. It was basically I'm here to make taxes look sexy. At the end of the day, so it's not like you grow up as a 3, 4, 5 year old thinking like, man, I'm going to be a tax preparer. It's like,
Yeah.
but it's crazy. What I found is the very good preparers love what they do. They love what they do, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see that. But let me ask you this other question. Obviously, building a business. Your father building the tax business, right? Lopez Tax. How did your kind of father, delegate the responsibilities, like being a dad and then being a business person? Like maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, tax season is an interesting concept because, it's crammed work in 4 months. And then kind of the rest of the year, you can either do bookkeeping, other people add insurance, other ancillary, I mean, even like real estate and things like that. But I find that, well, Mr. Lopez found that basically bookkeeping does tie into the whole tax realm just because um, when you're doing bookkeeping, you're basically getting it all ready for a tax return to file at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it all correlates together. I know we were in the past, 15 years ago, we were dabbling in the whole real estate and insurance fields, but we found ourselves just kind of diluting ourselves a little too much. So that's why we ended up focusing more back on taxes. And then that was the birth of Latino Tax Pro. And we just carried it on from there. So, um, yeah, so it's been an interesting ride. Needless to
No,
say.
then that's good. No, that's good. I'm glad that you mentioned the other company because not, obviously building one company is hard, but you guys are building pretty much two different companies right now and some different plans in the future. But do you think maybe explain a little bit about that, like juggling that and your dad being a dad to you? Like, how did he
Yeah.
do? Well, like, how was he able to do that?
So during tax season, I was stuck in daycares pretty much the whole time. Um, but after tax season, he always took me out during the summer times. We would go to my aunt's house over in Sonora, which is towards Yosemite, and I'd hang out with my cousins over there, and Josue is one of them. He's
Yeah.
one of our speakers here, and yeah, I got a lot of fond memories out there in Sonora. Hanging out in the lakes and boats even during winter time. So um it was great. He made up for it, because he was doing that rush at first, and then we would vacation afterwards. So it was tough. I'm not gonna say it was fun or easy, but you know um those vacations, everything kind of like balanced itself out, so to speak. So
No,
yeah.
and I'm great. I'm glad that you brought that up because I know a lot of the times we get busy, right? We get busy with our everyday lives, and not only that, when we think of working, I just kind of got a little off topic. Like, with my parents, when growing up with them, they worked in the fields. They were there all day. I was just like you, David. You might have been at daycares too, but I was probably with my tia or like a friend of a friend at their house hanging out. Um, but at the end of the day, they always like let us know like, hey, we're working hard for this, we're working hard for that. And so one thing that's ingrained in my mind is like, hey, I know if I work hard, I think we brought this up last time on the last webinar, is like you work hard, you play hard. So although our parents were always busy, they always found time to be the dad and be the mom or be, whatever they needed to be that what we needed, right? Obviously we need parents growing up, they need to teach us what's right and what's wrong. But what the cool thing is like I mentioned before, a lot of people come here to have the American dream of business and all that stuff. And like I said, one thing that kind of holds people back is that balance. Like, how do I balance this? Sometimes you hear some people saying like, "Hey, they're like, oh, they're not even paying attention to me. They're super focused on that." So having a balance, I think, is super important. I think one thing that you guys have done very well at is you guys are very good with schedules, right? You guys are very good at scheduling, making sure everything's on the calendar, right? Even with me, you guys always say, hey, make sure, your dad always says, make sure it's on the calendar, okay?
Mhm.
Which is huge, which is huge. But let me ask you this. What would be probably the most valuable lesson that your father taught you about career building?
you know like you were mentioning right now, time management. You really got to balance it out. um as far as education goes, you can't just look at it as homework. You got to understand that you're doing something to further your career to the next level. So whether it be, even our tax education, but even reading other books. We've done a lot with spin selling. We've done a lot with the 1 minute manager. um there's so many books out there that have helped us as far as growing our career. And yeah, those have been invaluable as far as, because what got us here is that we're going to take us to the next step, basically. So what I admire about him is he's always learning. My father is one of those guys that if you give him a brand new phone, he'll sit there and figure it out. I've dealt with with I don't want to mention names. I've dealt with some other people, and they're like, I don't know what this phone is. I don't know. I can't figure out anything. I could barely make a phone call on it. And I really appreciate. I really just commend him for that. Just he's always taking on new technology, and someone for his age to do that is it's kind of rare.
No, definitely it is. It's crazy that you mentioned that he's always building, right? Always growing. He said something this morning that kind of resonated in my mind. He said, you got to think about turning your profession into a business. And I think that's something that he's done over the years, right? He started as a tax business and then he spinned it off into the education company, right, with Latino Tax Pro. So he's always constantly innovating, and always thinking ahead, right? Always thinking ahead. I do want to do a quick shout out. We got some people on the chats here. Aliana, Mariela, thank you for making this out. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But let me ask you this. What advice would you give to parents who are trying to balance their careers and parenting responsibilities?
Yeah, because I'm in that same boat right now.
Yeah, I was about to
I
say, yeah.
I have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old at the moment, and yeah, my 2-year-old still doesn't sleep through the night. So I'm running on fumes every day for these past couple of years now. But yeah, it's just so hard, because especially during tax season when you've worked so hard all day dealing with so many people, and just constantly always trying to be on, and then when you get home, your kids are like, yeah, you're home finally, let's play. And a lot of times you're like, oh man, why? But then if you balance, in that 1 Minute Manager book that I was mentioning earlier, it does say, just dedicate, like a quick 30 minutes. But when you do that, do it 100%, that way it feels like an hour, maybe 2 hours, as opposed to, because you did condense it to that 30 minutes. So, um, and then I try to always put my kids to bed by 8, which never happens, but
You and me both, we'd be texting, are you putting the kids to bed? Yeah,
yeah.
I'm still awake at 11, 12 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Jeez.
because I want that last hour of my alone time, but seems to never happen.
Never happens.
But yeah, just dedicating certain times during the weekend as well for your kids versus studying and doing other things. Currently right now I'm studying to take the EA exam right now, so hopefully I get that done this year.
That's right.
And yeah, it's they respect it too. I always tell them, hey, and my older son too, he's like, why are you always studying, Dad? And I'm just like, you're going to get into this too soon, son. And I just wanted to make sure that that he sees a good example of I'm sitting there reading, and just being calm and focusing my attention for that third hour is what I usually spend. But I try to do an hour to them, an hour study, and then an hour with the wife. So
Pretty good
doesn't
balance
always
right
work
there.
out. Yeah, it doesn't always work out that way. But if you have that in your mind as your schedule, and then even waking up early in the morning, trying to get that workout in real fast before the kids are awake. That seems to be the optimal time for me anyway to work out, is right before everybody wakes up, and that way you're all energized in the morning and ready to go. So
Before the roosters are up, right?
yeah, exactly.
No, it's good that you mentioned your kids there, because obviously, I mean, me and you, we've known ourselves before the business, and I've had my own business too, and it's been very hard to kind of to balance work life and personal life. But one thing that I do commend you on is that you bring your kid, you bring your son to work, and he sees what you're doing. And let me ask you this: do you see some type of correlation between what you're doing with your son now to what your dad did with you?
Mm,
Except other than going to people's houses with the, yeah,
yeah.
the,
We were, back when I was growing up, we really didn't have any money. Now, we're doing okay. So that part has changed, I feel like the time though, I need more time, I don't know how we're going to get around that, but Yeah,
But
it's
it's very cool to see your son here. Like he comes and he knows what you're doing. He sees daddy's working, which I think is super important. I think a lot of the times we kind of fray away from like, oh, like I don't want my kid to see me struggle or anything like that. And I don't think it's really the struggle. I think it's the deposits you put in before you can get those withdrawals. You know, I always think that you have to put in before you can take out, and it's very important for our children to see that, because if they don't really value whether the time or whatever it may be. You know, it even goes to show, like even now for like buying our kids toys, right? Like I buy my kids toys all the time. Before growing up, and I'm sure you can agree with this, probably kind of went with like my mom would take me and my little brother to the store, and she would say, okay, you guys can get one toy, and we had to share that one toy. You know, we had a little dollar limit and all that stuff, so we valued that toy. Like that toy was brand new for like 2 years. You know, we kept it clean, we washed it, we cleaned it, we took care of it. You know, and now, you know, since I do it all the time with my kids, it's like they play and then they toss it. You know, um, so for that, I just want to say, from the outside looking in, I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing that you bring Ezra to work and he sees that, because at the end of the day, it's going to culminate to something amazing, and I'll tell you why. Right, so let me tell you this. Like, as a child, seeing your dad doing what he did, what made you want to, you know, come on board with your dad and just like go full force?
yeah,
Because it's not just one company, right? It's not one company you guys are running,
right,
you know,
correct.
and it's two. So what made you just like, all right, hey, this is what I'm going to do? And maybe correlate that to maybe some of the stuff that you've seen growing up, and you're like, you know what, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, throughout high school, I did work here as a receptionist for a little bit. But I told my father, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go work at other places because I want the experience. I want to see what's going on. And I remember my first job was at Potbelly Deli, which was a which was a sandwich place, and it was cool. I love my dad would obviously pick me up and drop me off, and it was an experience. A lot of people really get angry if you don't make their sandwich right. and, and
I wouldn't know why.
yeah, it directly correlates to this tax thing, so um but yeah, it was a great learning experience. And growing up, seeing my father, before he got his EA, the computers back then were like these huge things. So we didn't have all that technology. He had these encyclopedia books that were huge, and he would sit there and read them all night, for good, like 3 months. And I'm like, man, what is he doing? Let's go play. What is this? I don't even know what was going on back then. And seeing him doing all that, really inspired me to, um, do everything that I'm doing basically today. With my kid, I want to make sure that he sees me, studying and working hard, and just instilling all those concrete, um, ideologies in his mind for now. So yeah, I know you've seen him when he comes into the office. He's all serious and he wants to get to work, and I think he loves it, because he we tell him, obviously, this is the company that we've been growing, and I can see that he's a little bit proud of what we're doing. So it's a good feeling.
I'll tell you one thing, man. I see you, and with your kids, I know those kids admire and love you so much, man. So you're
Thank you.
you're an amazing dad. Don't ever let anyone tell you anything different. But
Hey,
obviously,
you
you,
too.
oh, I appreciate that. No, definitely. I'm blushing a little bit right now, to be honest. No, but I see you kind of lost my train of thought. See, thanks for complimenting me. Geez. But so so now building multiple companies, building all that stuff, obviously being a child with a father who is an entrepreneur. Um, what kind of things do you remember? What are some key traits that you've seen from your father growing up that you would like to share with somebody?
Yeah, just being innovative, like I was saying earlier. I remember when he first got his first cell phone, it was this huge brick thing, and it had like a handle on it, and the phone was on the outside of it, and the keypads were on the back part of the phone right here, like on the back part right here. And I remember we were driving, and he was calling my uncle Ernie, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm calling you from the car." It's like, "What? You're driving and calling me?" This is amazing thing. And just he's always been one with technology, and just trying to get the latest and greatest things out there. And a lot of people his age really I want to say shy away from it, and and just encourage everybody, to take on new things, explore new things, try to figure puzzles out, and that's what I've always admired about him is just that, he's always on the cutting edge of things and always asking for help, there's no shame in asking for that, you don't. A lot of people do have, some sort of pride built up, like, oh, I do all this myself, but you know we're stronger as a team.
I love that you brought that up because you're ever since I known your dad, he's always been a good sense, a good judge of character. He's a kind of look at somebody and, just by meeting them, I don't know whether if it's a firm handshake, if they look someone in the eyes. I'm not sure his secret yet. He hasn't shared that yet. Maybe you can enlighten us a little bit, but I mean, you kind of have that same knack in finding the right people. And you talked about team, right? Obviously, your father found the right people growing up to help build the team, the Lopez tax business, and then the Latino tax pro, which is something that I think that kind of got transferred into you, right? You've built you find some key people to help build your business. So I think one thing I guess I'm trying to say right here is like try to find people to build your company, and then everyone has different strengths, right? Everyone has different strengths. What would you say are your strengths that you learned from your dad?
Yeah. So coming into the company, I was studying marketing and business and at Sac State, and having my, so to speak, my mark. I didn't have any experience, obviously, coming straight in from college, but as well being innovative too. I've always loved new technology, new little gadgets and trinkets. As you guys know, I'm always trying to bring in these new weird things into the office. But
Those
yeah,
special gifts that you leave on my desk? Is
yeah,
that what you're talking about? What the heck is
yeah.
this? I think you brought me something to put on my head and it has a light and maybe a USB connection to side. I don't even know what it does
Mhm.
yet, but we'll figure. I think it even has a compass just in case I get lost.
Yeah.
But
And it's always hit or miss. I mean, you're not always going to find the greatest in thing, but always try something new, especially with your kids, if you guys are bringing in your kids into the company too, maybe taxes aren't their strength. Maybe it is more marketing. Maybe it is more TV personality or but the world's their oyster, so to speak.
absolutely.
So
And you kind of touched on a little comment that Eliana put on the chat. She said, I would love my children to be part of my passion, tax and accounting. And just like you mentioned there, maybe taxes isn't what their dream is, right? But maybe they're great people connectors, maybe they're great marketers, maybe they're great at technology, maybe they're great at something that will help that tax business or whatever business you may have continue to grow. And because I get it all the time, when I talk to some people, they're reaching retirement age, right? As far as in their tax business. And the one thing that they tell me is like, my family doesn't want it, my kids don't want it. They don't want it. And a lot of the times I kind of tell them like, well, let me ask you this. Did you always talk about the bad that happened in the business, or did you come home talking about the good? You know, um,
Well,
Obviously, yeah.
growing up too, I did not want anything to do with taxes. I'll tell you right now, I was so against it just because I saw how much struggling, my dad was doing and how hard it was. But, as I got older, I got more into like technology, building computers, doing networking, um, different things like that. So that kind of ended up getting me back into the groove of doing taxes because they may not realize it now, but down the road, everybody has to do their taxes. So you're going to want to understand this kind of stuff. So, um,
So
yeah, I
it's a
was,
business decision, like, oh, like there's a need, right? There's
yeah.
a need, and like, hey, it makes sense, and it's kind of like what you said, right? Your dad's kind of seen a need and he did it, and now he innovated and changed it, and other people are following, which is cool. But now you see it, right? You see the bigger vision and all that stuff. And I love how you guys are always talking about the future and the things that are coming. It's funny, you mentioned something like encyclopedia, right? You said encyclopedia, that's what they had. I
Mhm.
think there's some of these guys, some people on this webinar right now or that are going to hear it later that have no idea what an encyclopedia is, or even maybe even a dictionary, or maybe probably never even been to like a library. Geez, Louise, now that I think about it. But no, yeah, let me ask you this. Let's see. obviously your responsibilities here with the company, right? You're freaking amazing at what you do. Yeah, here comes another compliment. I'm gonna try to make you blush like you made me blush. Okay,
Thanks.
but what I see you do here is amazing. Obviously, you're there at the tax office right now, right, running the other business, right, doing appointments, right. He was just telling me some great stories prior to this webinar starting, and then obviously we have this big event coming in less than 20 days, and Dave does a lot of the planning and the setting up and all that stuff. And you seem to always have this smile on your face. How do you do it?
Um, you know, I don't know. Honestly, I
It's a
just,
gorgeous, it's a gorgeous smile, by the way. Look at that. Like
thank you.
who wouldn't mind looking at that all day?
I just, you know, you just gotta, you gotta take everybody with a grain of salt, you know. I did have a little bit of a crazy customer come in this morning. They, I guess their return was already filed somewhere else. So I came in as a reject on that, and she was so upset about that. And I felt like she was just trying to blame me, but I was like, I'm not sure what happened. It just seems that you filed somewhere else. So, but we went through the whole thing. We still talked about seeing her next year, and you know, I'm here for support all year long. So I always extend that offer to everybody. You know, I'm here all year long. You know, I may not see you that same day, but
You'll fit them in. You'll fit them in. Scheduling, right?
I'll
Scheduling.
schedule you in. And this year's been a little bit weird too for California anyway.
Yeah,
You know, we had the floods, so they extended tax season to October 16th for us. So tax season really never ended for us. Or I guess it'll continue, because then from October 16th till January, we're only going to get that little bit of a break and then get right back into it. So
taxes year round, baby. That's, you know.
but basically we just got to roll with the punches, you know, and just not try to take things too personally. It would be my suggestion to everybody, to just take everything with a grain of salt and just know that you're blessed with another day of life, and just make it to the fullest, you know.
Definitely. So I got this one question right here. So obviously there was a lot of sacrifice growing up, right? Obviously, you know, with anything there's sacrifice. You know, either you're giving your time up to someone else, or you're building something for yourself at the end of the day. What are you proud of about your dad? How about that? What are you proud of?
It's perseverance. You know, we've gone through quite a bit of humps, you know, downfalls, I should say, and to keep going on with it, you know, not to let these roadblocks, you know, just stop you in your place. You know, you got to roll with the punches and figure out solutions. You know, I mean, you can come up with problems all day long and just sit there and mope all day, but once you start coming up with solutions and workarounds, I should say, you know, life continues on, you know, and just to not let it get you down. Just like this morning.
You know what? It's pretty cool. I think I kind of see how maybe connecting you into the business at a young age made you feel like you're part of building something. Like I said, I kind of see that in how you're doing it with Ezra right now. So maybe, you know, a good piece of advice for people that are listening, maybe struggling with that aspect, is, you know, include your family, but make them part of your plan. Say, hey, this is your part in the business, and this is why we're doing it. And always be vocal about your vision and where you're headed to. I know your dad's big on that. He's always telling us this and this and this, and you're always in the back right there, say, hey guys, okay, we got to do this and this, you know. So it's pretty cool to have that type of, I would say, support, you know, that support. But I know I know your dad's got some pretty cool stuff coming up right now, and I don't know if you want to share it a little bit, but I know he's got something pretty cool coming out.
Yeah. So we've been working on this book here for a while, and this will be the first one.
Is it an encyclopedia?
It is not. not this one anyway. Wait for the next one. But we were going to announce this here at the fest here coming up, and we are ordering. We literally just finished it, so it's a great thing for tax representation. It is a little bit based on California, but it could apply. Most of it could apply to the federal portion of it all. But yeah, and then we're working on 2 other books coming up now. So yeah, be on the lookout for this. We're going to launch it at the fest, and then we'll have it on our store, latinotaxpro.com. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions on that. But it's a really good book. I would definitely get it signed by Mr. Lopez if you're there at the fest.
Yeah, definitely. I know that. I know that's the plan, to have some copies out there. So be the first one to buy, right? Be the first
Yeah.
one to get it. But hey, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day, brother. I know you're super busy, and I know I kind of threw this on you, like, hey, bro, you're doing this next week. But I really do find that this is super valuable. At the end of the day, parents that are building a business, at the end of the day, your children are always watching. They're always watching, and maybe that you may think that they see the bad thing, but at the end of the day, when I look back at my parents, I remember the hard work, the effort, everything that they put in to provide a better life. And if passing on a business or whatever it may be one of those, make sure you let them know. Say, hey, listen, this is for you guys. We're working hard for this, and you're a part of it, right? And
a lot of the things that I was doing in the beginning too, what kind of like really motivated me was being we were making commercials, and I would be the extra on the back, handing them papers and stuff. So I'm gonna look up all those whole commercials, and I'll put them on our Facebook, because they're pretty funny. but yeah, I'll make sure everybody can see those. But yeah, involve your kids in everything, in your tax practice, whether it even be cleaning up the office, little things like that, makes them build up a lot of pride for their company and their parents.
I've been to offices where the offices are not so clean. I really don't like to go to those, right? But the ones that are nice, hey, remember, even if they're 5, 6 years old, put them to work. They have to understand the value of work, and then getting paid, right? So give them a monetary incentive to do some work, right? And Eliana right here, she put on the chat, she's like, hey, I'm so excited. I just signed up to be a tax instructor with LTP. Class starts this Sunday for her, and she has a child who's 15 years old, and the husband, the 15-year-old, and the husband is going to be one of her students as well, too. So it's cool, right? So we talked a little bit about innovation. Obviously, your dad came out with the education, the thought of providing education to everybody, and then we kind of turned it into this instructor program that's helping people build and grow their businesses a lot faster than normal. It's crazy. I love that you said technology, because I think now more than ever, if you wanted to build a business, you can build it bigger and faster now as opposed to 20, 30, 40 years ago. So just like Dave said, hey, technology, that's huge. Take advantage of it. If you say I'm used to this, try something new. You never know what you're going to get. Maybe it's the secret sauce that builds your business. But super excited for Eliana and your tax class. Really excited about that. If you're looking to start a tax school, which was the secret to building Mr. Lopez's business, give us a call. Give us a call. We'll always be waiting here. But again, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, because I know you probably have another tax person right in front of you waiting to get their taxes done. But I do appreciate your time, everybody on Facebook Live or wherever you're watching this. Thank you for tuning in. Like and share. Drop a comment. We'll make sure to answer back. But again, thank you, David, for your time. Looking forward to our next conversation, my man. We'll see you.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks for setting all this up, man.
Yeah.
See you guys later.